Hey everyone! Getting this live stream set up has been a little bit of a pain, but I hope I'm live right now, and I'm sorry if I'm looking down and not at you guys. So first I got this set up, and then I had to redo it because you can't just edit a time. You have to actually, I couldn't figure out how to actually edit the time. All I needed to do was, instead of at 7 p.m., it would be at 6 p.m. And I just needed to edit the time. And so, it wouldn't let me do it. Hold on, let me write this real quick. 137, I think this is today's episode. Anyway, and I couldn't do it. And so then I had to create a whole new one. So then I created a whole new one yesterday on the computer. But I created the whole new live event on the computer, which means that I can't do the live event from my phone, which is ridiculous. I should be able to do the live event wherever. Hey Jason. So I'm sorry if people were confused about this live stream. I had to set it up like multiple different times. Anyway, I'm in here now, and if I look down occasionally, I'm looking down at my my computer to look at the live chat. So just so you know. Anyway, hi Ellen, so good to see you here. Okay, so if I look a little flushed, it's like 105 degrees here today, and I'm in the high desert. And so I get cooler temps than places like the lower places like in Tucson or Phoenix and things like that. So I get a lot lower temps, but we can still have our high temp days. Like today it said it was only supposed to be 101, but it's 100, and it got up to 105, 107, something like that. And tomorrow's supposed to be in the hundreds as well, and then it goes back down. So it really fluctuates a lot. Hi Deb. Sorry, again, I have to look down at my computer to look at the chat, so sorry about that. But so today I want to talk about remote living and living off grid. A lot of people have asked questions about this, and I am currently living off grid, and I live remote, very remote. So I really wanted to just talk about that, and if you guys ever have any questions about this type of lifestyle, I'm happy to answer anything that you may be curious about. So Jason says it's 115 down here. Yeah, so usually when it's like 100 here, it could be 5 or 10 degrees hotter in like Tucson or Phoenix or something like that. Hollywood Tactical. Love your name, by the way. That's so cool. That's so tactical. It's strange it's only been in the 70s in Los Angeles. Man, that sounds wonderful. When it rains, which is monsoon season right now, and so when it rains, the temp drops like 10, 15, 20 degrees sometimes, and oh, it feels wonderful. Hollywood Tactical says, do you live in Slab City? No? I don't know what Slab City is. Sorry. So no, I don't live there. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of dive into it a little bit, and then whenever you guys have questions, give me a second to look into the chat, and I'll answer as best as I possibly can. So living off-grid and remote. First of all, I want to talk about what living off-grid means. Living off-grid, I think there's a lot of different definitions depending on who you talk to. It could mean that you're living off-grid as in you're not connected to any internet, cell phone, nothing. Like you're not connected to anything, right? And then there's the other perspective or definition in which you're just not hooked up to like city water or city power or anything like that. You're just not hooked up to basically the grid, right? And so when you're not hooked up to the grid, you find ways to live outside of the grid, right? And there's lots of ways to live outside of the grid, but it definitely takes more effort, it takes more time, you know, and especially when you're building a homestead from scratch, it takes way more time and effort. You know, it's not like buying a home in the suburbs or, you know, whatever. A home that's already built, connected to power and everything, you know, it has running water, has all these things. It's completely different. So, hi, Tom and P2E and Jamie. How's it going? Hi. Thanks, everyone, for joining me, by the way. And so, anyway, our definition of being off-grid is basically we're not connected to power and we're not connected to water. And we don't even have a well right now. So we haul our own water and we're completely on solar. I love being on solar. Oh, and we don't have septic or anything like that. So we're on a composting toilet, which, by the way, I love the composting toilet. At first I was like, ooh, composting toilet, gross. But it's actually great. It's fantastic. I love the composting toilet. In fact, I never want to go back to a traditional toilet ever again. It's so great. I'm turning into a real off-grid hippie here. Okay, so not that there's anything wrong with that. And so, you know, we're not hooked up to any septic. We're not hooked up to anything. We have our solar and we just, you know, and we haul water and then we collect rainwater, and that's our basic ways to get water. Let me look at the chat real quick. Hello, so nice. And the Safety Doc podcast. Hey, Morgan, want you on as a guest? Sure. Hit up my email. My email, or go to my website. It's in the description here. You can hit me up from my website to the contact page, or any social media. If you want to just DM me on any social media platform, I don't care. It doesn't matter how you get contacted me. I'm not too worried about how people contact me, so it's all good. Whatever you're most comfortable with is cool with me. Okay, so the biggest question I get asked, and I'm just going to go ahead and dive into this, is how do you live remote? As in, how do you actually make a living remote? Because when you think about jobs and things like that, you generally need to be somewhat close to a city. And the great thing about the society that we live in right now is that there's so many remote opportunities available that you can work from home. And especially now with COVID, a lot of companies are actually turning strictly to work at home. Now, there are still a lot of companies that are hanging on to that, you know, office life. And but I've seen so many jobs that it could definitely be done from home, but companies are so scared that their people are going to slack off or not get the work done or do whatever. And there's definitely people like that, right? Like they work from home and, you know, but I feel like as long as you're getting the work done, it shouldn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like if you're a customer service rep and you're answering phone calls, then just continue answering phone calls, but from home, you know, be in your underwear. Who cares, right? Nobody cares, and it shouldn't matter. But you know, companies are still kind of weary about that. And, you know, there's ways for a company to, you know, maybe not like track as in like watch your computer at all times or whatever, which I think that's creepy. But, you know, there's ways for people to just be like, yeah, I worked, you know, this and this. And there's, you know, if you log into your company email and however many emails you answer, how many phone calls you answer or whatever. You know, I'm not into the whole tracking thing, but companies still got to make some sort of profit if they have employees, that kind of thing, right? And so I had to do that. I have to do that, not had. I have to do that. I, you know, my husband and I both work remotely. So, you know, road preparedness isn't my full-time job. Gosh, wouldn't that be nice, right? And we're not millionaires. Ooh, no, far, far, far from it. We both still have jobs, and we work part-time. It really is part-time. You know, we don't have any debt either. We have very few bills. We have no debt. And yeah, I was trying to think of what else like our money really goes to. So basically our money is kind of being pumped into the homestead right now. And so that's what we're doing. You know, before when we were just traveling in the RV, it was just going towards gas, basically, gas and food and insurance. And so the thing is with work at home jobs, with remote work at home jobs, there's a lot of scams out there, but there's also a lot of really great opportunities that can bring in some good, significant money depending on what you want to do. Like, do you want to answer phones? There are just straight live chat customer service as well, but if you have a bachelor's degree, you can teach kids online. You can teach English online. You can tutor if you're like really good at math or English or whatever else. You can tutor kids online. There's also social media companies out there that are hiring work from home. There's freelance writing. There's just a bunch of stuff that's opening up right now. Like I said, a lot of companies are moving more towards work at home remote positions. So there are actually a lot of things that are opening up right now. And it does take a little bit of research. But there are some good websites. If you just search like work at home opportunities, you'll come across a lot of websites. You're going to come across a lot of junk. But then you're going to come across a lot of good stuff. I wouldn't do like any of those Amazon Turk stuff. I don't know if you guys ever heard about that. But don't do any of that Amazon Turk stuff because you're like working for literally pennies on like a 30-minute job or something. You're like, here's 2 pennies to complete this 30-minute job or whatever. It's just not, it's not good. So I wouldn't waste my time on that. Now, if you want to be more entrepreneurial, right, you could always make stuff, sell it on Etsy. But, all this stuff, like if you want to make a website or you want to do any of this stuff, it takes time. Some of it does take effort and time, marketing and all this to get the word out about whatever you're doing, right? So, and, some of it might take a little upfront cash or whatever the case may be, right? So, just consider all of that. But there are a lot of entrepreneurial ideas as well, flipping stuff. I heard of a mobile car repair the other day. I thought that was really, really smart. And mobile dog grooming is a really big one. And then of course, there's Uber Eats or any of those places that still that do like any mobile delivery. If you have a car and you have some time like in the evening or something, you can make some extra cash that way as well. So there are actually quite a few opportunities. The whole driving thing may not be so like remote because I live in a very remote spot, and that driving stuff, it doesn't work here at all. It doesn't work. I would have to drive an hour and a half in order to work that at all, and even that's a lot of time and money wasted on gas just to get somewhere so that I could get a few jobs and then come back, maybe make $50. It's not worth it. It would be a wash. Not that I'm spending $50 to drive an hour and a half, but you know what I mean. Like, it's just, you have to think about the time and money that you're putting in and the time and money that you're getting back from it as well. Okay, so let me look into the chat real quick. Jamie says, is your composting toilet part of the RV or set up outside? Really good question. Our composting toilet is inside, and we had a regular toilet, a regular RV toilet in here, and we ripped that out and put the composting toilet in. And there are only two companies that make RV composting toilets specific to the RV, and they're both kind of expensive. But, like if you wanted to dig your own little outhouse or, little composting outhouse or whatever, that's totally an option. And I've recommended that in a lot of my videos, if you have the ability to. But then, it's going outside and all that, in any type of weather, you'd be going out into the outhouse. And you don't want the outhouse too close to your house because then that's really, really stinky, And so it's just a few things to keep in mind with an outside composting toilet. It could be done for sure, but you just have to mitigate those things a little bit. Just some things to keep in mind there. So hello, TGIF. Agamum. I'm going to say Agamum. I've seen your name, and I know we've chatted, but I've never, I don't think I've ever actually said your name. Hello. Mohican Mars, hello. So, feel free to, hello, Texas Shepherd, good. Bruno, sorry, I'm like, I can't see. I'll bring it to me. How about that? Bruno says, what distance can a solar battery inverter shed be away from the house? As far as you want it to be, as far as I'm concerned. The inverter and everything can be pretty far away. It doesn't necessarily have to be super close to your house. I think the only concerns that you want to have is if you have a solar setup that's outside, like on poles or something, and you have to turn the panels manually, you do want them obviously closer to your house. You're not walking, you're not walking, 3 or 4 acres down to just get your solar panels just to turn them, right? But of course, you want to have your solar panels in an optimal spot. So wherever that optimal spot's going to be, it's got to be, right? Here in Arizona, we have lots of space, so lots of options. So
That's crazy, dude. Well, hopefully it settles down for y'all a little bit. You should plan a good vacation, get away.
In the elements and getting driven over or whatever, right? So you want to bury those lines. So if you do have it, if you have your house, right, your house, and then you have the shed over here, the lines that are going from your shed to your house need to be buried, and or covered. I guess they don't have to be buried, but they should be covered somehow, protected. Let me just say that. They have to be protected somehow. Put it in like a plumbing pipe or something, do something to protect them, and then obviously don't drive over them or something, right? Don't drive over them. Just don't do it. Put it somewhere you don't drive, right? Let's see. Tom said, hello, Thunder. I'm going to call you Thunder. Hello, Tom Wells, and Tom, and Julie, Matthew. Got radio interference coming? What? Had some radio interference? Really? Fascinating. What did it sound like? I didn't hear anything. Obviously, I'm talking. I can't hear it. Tell me what it sounded like. Because my husband just drove up. And he was listening to the radio. What did it sound like? But like what? It was just like static, or was it a song? Like, what did you hear? A guy talking. Now I'm really fascinated. My husband just pulled up. I'm going to see if he was on the phone or something. Maybe it was like connecting to the phone, which is so crazy. Now I'm like freaked out. Okay. It was like a demon speaking. Oh my gosh. CB chatter possibly. I don't think his CB or ham was on, but I mean, I'm on my phone recording this right now. So for a ham or a CB or even just a radio connected to my Bluetooth or something to interfere like that, that's insane. Now I'm all freaked out. Okay. Hello, Prepper Dale, and who else has joined us here? Spirits? It could be spirits talking. My property's haunted. Ellen. Okay, so somebody had a question. Actually, 2 questions up here. I'm trying to get to them. Sorry. Okay, so Tom said putting one's outhouse too far from one's Adobe might make one coyote bait. Yeah. Well, you don't want to make your you don't want to make your composting toilet too far. And I don't think the coyotes are going to care about your poo, but I don't know. Are coyotes eating poo now? I know dogs do. Gross. Okay, so yeah, you don't want to make it too far, but you don't want to make it, okay, talking about vacation. Bruno says the talking was talking about vacation. We're not going on vacation, so that wasn't my husband. If that was CB or ham radio, I'm like really, really interested right now. I'm going to have to look into that a little bit. Well, I know we're not going on vacation, so I was talking about vacation. Okay. So would you be able, okay, there were a couple questions. I'm sorry. We got off track with the spirits talking. um, okay, so just wondering if you've used your solar oven as a dehydrator. I have success with hard-boiled eggs in the solar oven. Baby steps. Love your humongous dehydrator. So I have dehydrated in my solar oven before. I did bananas and strawberries. The bananas did really well and the strawberries did not. And then I filmed this, so this is actual video that I actually have on my YouTube. That's up on my YouTube. You can go check it out. I think it's just called Solar Oven. Can you dehydrate in the solar oven or something? And the bananas did work and the strawberries did not. And one commenter said that dehydrators need that airflow. And they were right. You know, if you look at a commercial dehydrator, they have that airflow, they have that fan and the airflow and the vents and all that. And it's constantly, you know, there's constant airflow. So when you look at a commercial dehydrator and how that works, a solar oven that is completely blocked off with no airflow or anything, you know, like if you so here's the problem. If you opened up the solar oven a little bit, like on the back or something, for that airflow, then you have to be concerned about bugs, okay? So now you have to put some sort of mesh or something around it in which the bugs aren't getting in, but there's still some airflow coming into the solar oven. And so I think what happened, so a hard-boiled egg in a solar oven is going to work great because you're just cooking with the solar oven. It's not dehydrating it or anything like that. But cooking in a solar oven, love it. Hard-boiled egg is the perfect thing to test your solar oven in with, to test your solar oven with, because it's just really easy. It's really easy to hard boil an egg in the solar oven, and you'll see results pretty quickly. So hard boiling an egg in your solar oven is a really good first food to do, like when you're testing your solar oven. Hollywood Tactical says, you said you have your own property, have an RV, and live off grid. Yep. That's the sum of it. Would you be about the 16-minute mark just after speaking of burying the wires? Okay, well, I'll have to look into the spirits when I watch it again. Tom says, I picked up some extra cash today helping a buddy move some equipment 100 miles away. Wow. And lunch with leftover for dinner. Sounded like ham or CB. Sometimes broadcasts bleed into other transmissions, which I've definitely heard of ham and CB blending with other ham and CB transmissions, but I'm guessing it's our cellular. So we're on cellular internet. We're not on like a standard like cable internet. We're on a cellular internet. So I'm assuming that's why that's why you guys heard interference. It's because we're on a cellular internet. So it's a little bit different. Okay, so... Oh. So thank you. That's how we learn from it. I'm thinking chocolate fondue. Yeah. I would love... I think chocolate fondue would be really, really easy. Chocolate melts very good. Just, I don't even need a solar oven for the melt. I have to keep all of our chocolate in our fridge because it's so warm all the time. But it's dry heat, so it's not too bad. And let's see. Hollywood Tactical, could you elaborate some more on your setup, how you managed it? Because it's like a dream for me, but for example, in California, you have to move your RV every month, even if you're on your own property. Wait, hold on. In California, if you're on your own property, you have to move your RV every once in a while? That is nuts. If California wasn't nuts already, that's nuts. You're on your own property and you have to move your RV. Now, okay, let me back up on land, finding land and all that kind of thing. When you are searching for land, you need to look at the deed restrictions. Sometimes there are deed restrictions. You also never want to buy land in an HOA. Never buy house in an HOA. Just avoid HOAs altogether, right? So when you are looking for land, you definitely want to look at those deed restrictions and make sure there are no restrictions, such as you cannot have a mobile home on your property, you cannot have an RV on your property. Some deed restrictions will say, some deed restrictions on your property will say, you can't have this and you can't have that. Hello. You just got back, huh?
I thought you will make them pizza.
Oh, I forgot to make pizza.
Yeah.
I thought you guys were going to make pizza.
Hey!
Here, go tell Dad to go make pizza. Whoops. Okay. I think I did say that and I forgot. I had to take care of the animals. I was like 15 minutes before the live stream and I walked outside to grab my tripod. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I have to feed the animals. So I forgot. Okay, so, I got a couple questions here. Sorry. Okay, so, so as far as land goes, you really want to make sure. Sorry. Here, you either go with Dada or you gotta not be so crazy right here. It's a fun thing to tell a 4-year-old. Don't be crazy. Okay, so, I'm a little behind now. Sorry. Irish USMC says broadband. Nope. Can't be playing no music. Sorry. Here, go help Dada. Go help Dada. Sorry, my tripod's on the bed, so that's all right. Distraction. All right. So yeah, broadband rural internet really does blow. So that's why we got the cellular, and cellular has worked. When we were RVing, RVing full time. That's all we had was the cellular, and it worked pretty much everywhere. And we just have a little tower that we can get even better access with. Ellen, I managed to get a sun oven when I was in Hawaii. Very hard to get in Australia. I have not heard that sun ovens have been in high demand, but obviously they must, for some. I'm sorry. The tripod is on the bed, so if you see some shaking sometimes, it's because somebody's moving in the RV and then the tripod is shaking on the bed. We're very professional here. Okay. All right. You're not allowed to live on your own tent on your own property. Just I don't believe that that's all land in California. I just think that that's probably a lot of land in a lot of places. It's not just in California either. That's in a lot of different places. So you have to be thinking about I would look elsewhere in California, because I don't think, not all lands have the same restrictions. So that could just be an isolated incident. It could be just because it's in a rural area around a certain city. It really depends. I'm sorry. This is so boring when the host is trying to read the comments, but I'm just trying to catch up with you guys. Okay, I love my solar oven. Hard to find right now. Dada can help you, okay? Dada can help you. Yep, Dada can help you. Thank you. Okay, so when you are looking for land, essentially, even if there are deed restrictions on a property, that's 20 minutes from your house, let's say, it's in a rural area, but it's 20 minutes from your place, right? It's 20 minutes from city. There may still be deed restrictions on that property. And then guess what? 2 properties over, there may be no deed restrictions. It just depends on who owns it, why they're putting these deed restrictions on it. And again, if it's in an HOA, well, they just control your life, which nobody wants that. And I don't even know why HOAs still exist. A lot of people like HOAs because it keeps the community really, really proper, right? It keeps your home values up. Anyway, okay, let's see. We love interruptions by your chillins. Thanks. This is real life here. The 2 kids and husband and the homestead and road preparedness, everything keeps us very, very busy. And, you know, starting a homestead from scratch, it's not for the lazy. It is not for, you know, those people who don't want work and who don't want to work. It's not for those people who, you know, just, we have to build our own house. We have to, you know, eventually put in a well. We don't have a well right now, but, you know, because we are hauling the water and we have, you know, the rain collection. We'll always have the rain collection. But, sorry, I saw a couple comments. Safety Doc Podcast sent you an email. This is another terrific show. Thanks for your due diligence, timely content. Thank you. Now, in saying that, actually, they reminded me. So timely. Speaking of timely, a lot of people are considering moving out to the rural areas, and a lot of people have actually done a lot of backyard homesteading and stuff. And I really, really highly encourage all of that. I love seeing that, especially the people who are in like an urban suburban area and they have a little bit of space, so they decide to get like, you know, a couple chickens, start a little garden, whatever it is, right? It's that little bit of something that you can do for yourself to try to offset, you know, any shortages, or, you know, you're being less reliant on other people and more reliant on yourself. So it doesn't really matter where you live. There's always ways for you to be a little more self-reliant and not being as, you know, to not be as reliant as on the system in general. And what's really, really unfortunate is that a lot of places are making it illegal to actually go on solar, while other places are forcing people to go on solar. Like all new houses in California, I heard this was last year, I think, all new constructed houses in California have solar on them, which is great, but we also have to look at the solar that they're attaching to those houses. The solar that usually they're attaching to the houses are attached to the grid. So you're not technically off the grid. Your solar is still attached to the grid, and you may not have a bill, but all that energy is going straight to the power company. It's not going to you and your batteries. So, you know, like they may put a backup system for you, but in a lot of cases, if the grid goes down, you're still going to go down. But you just may not have a bill every month. So it kind of it really varies on where you are. See, P2E says grid-tied solar is just to offset your electric bill. Yeah, exactly. And so I think that's what a lot of places are doing right now. Like they're selling it as like, oh no, you don't have a bill anymore. But you're not technically off grid. You have solar, which is great. And I think that, you know, there should be more alternative energy, solar and wind and hydro and whatever we can do. But in those kind of cases, I would definitely suggest, if you want to go solar, to, you know, get off the grid and just do solar for yourself, or have a double system. There actually is a way to be tied into the grid as well as have your own battery and everything set up. So just look into that. Looking at a couple things here. Hollywood Tactical says HOAs are a relic of reddening. Is that what, whites only neighborhoods? They're essentially extra legal, but as you said, so popular that no one is challenging them legally, but their legality is dubious. So HOAs, there's some interesting history with HOAs, and a lot of people are keeping them around because they want to, you know, make sure that, you know, those communities are great. But husband and I were just talking about this. I'm like, who enacts HOAs? And like, if the community doesn't want an HOA anymore, can they just sign a petition and be like, get rid of the HOAs, you know? And I think it can be done because we used to live in a suburban area that used to have an HOA, and then the HOA expired, I guess. And so people never wanted an HOA back, so we never got the HOA back. So this was before our time for moving in, but that's what I heard. And so I think that's one example of, you know, a community who obviously didn't care about it enough to bring it back. You know, once it expired, it was gone. So anyway, let's see, Bex 505. I'm sorry, I need to look this up so I'm not like Bex 505. I have 8 cherry tomato plants in pots on my little apartment patio. Rock on! Oh my gosh, you don't know how excited I am when I hear that from apartment dwellers specifically, because I can't tell you how many times I hear from apartment dwellers that I can't do anything, I live in an apartment. But you have 8 cherry tomato plants in pots in your apartment or on your apartment patio. I want to give you a high five. Pacha! I think that's just fantastic. I think people have to look at their situation and find ways to make it work. And like I was mentioning in a couple videos back, having microgreens like on your windowsill, you know, having a little herb garden. You may not think that this stuff is a big deal, but it is. You're producing those things for yourself. You don't have to buy those things anymore, right? So it's just those little bit of things that can help you be just provide for yourself. That's it. Even if it's just a little bit, it's not just a little bit. That's huge, okay? Because most people these days are doing nothing. So it's just fantastic. So Jamie says that's what we're doing, buying a rural property right now. I grew up on an old farm, so going back to my roots. Fantastic. That's great. Jason, one reason that I've heard why some states don't allow water collection is because of a chance for a breeding ground of mosquitoes. Jason, I'm not making that face at you. I'm making a face at the reasoning. Other reasons I've heard have been as preposterous as that one. To make it illegal to collect rainwater, literally water that falls from the sky. Are you kidding? You're making it illegal for me to collect water that is falling onto my own property? Do you know how absurd that sounds? It's absurd. It's mind-boggling. And then, oh, I'm about to go on a little rant here. And the nanny state gets even better, because I've heard of stories of people trying to grow a garden in their front yards, just like a cool garden, you know, like tomato plants and, you know, whatever, just plants. You know, instead of just having grass, they have like a full garden in the front, and the city has come and shut them down. Like, you can't have a garden in your front yard. First of all, this is my property. Second of all, why do I have to have grass in my front yard? What's the point of that? Why can't I have a garden in my front yard on my own property? And it's not even like it looks bad or anything. It benefits everyone, literally everyone. And so they want you. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but the more I look at these ridiculous policies and rules, the more it just makes sense that they want you to be reliant on them 24/7. They do not, and like going off grid is illegal in some places. And like that collecting the rainwater is illegal in some places, because they do not want you to not be reliant on them anymore. They want you to constantly be reliant on them. And it's disturbing, really, really disturbing. So Bruno says, how often do you have to drive into town for shopping runs? So we have been doing it about once a week. Sometimes we go a little bit more, because we are building a homestead, and so sometimes we'll be like, you know what, we really got to get these rain gutters up, and we really got to go to Home Depot or whatever, but it's an hour and a half away. But unfortunately, some things just need to get done. And so,
And as any of you guys who have ever had a project may know, when you go to Home Depot and get something, you get home, you start working on your project, and then you realize you need something else from Home Depot.
yeah. And we do have a little hardware store that's about 20 miles away, but it sometimes doesn't have a lot of stuff that we need, and then sometimes it's so expensive that it's actually more affordable for us to drive that hour and a half away to go to Home Depot than it is to go to that hardware store. But in general, there's a lot of other, that little hardware store is literally a little hardware store, and it doesn't have a lot. So like we just had to go get rain gutters because they don't have rain gutters. And so we had to go get that. And so while we're at Home Depot, we get a couple other things. We really do try to minimize our trips because it is an hour and a half out of the way, and that's just so much wasted time and gas, and it's exhausting, and that's less time doing work here on the homestead. Of course, we're going to get stuff to help us on the homestead, but it's still time away, and it's exhausting. But I love living remote, don't even get me wrong. But we actually do have a little grocery store as well. There's actually a couple that's about 20 or 30. Well, one of them's 30 miles away, one of them's 20. And then there's a bigger grocery store, like those are little grocery stores. And then there's a big grocery store about an hour away. So, yeah. So I would say about a week. But we stock up pretty good. Now, especially now that we have our now that we have our freezer that's run on solar, we actually are stocking up really, really well. And so we are grocery shopping a lot less now and able to stock up a little bit more. And I'm getting my garden started soon. A video is coming on that. I'm very excited. Have some fall crops coming. Woo woo. Okay. So, hello, your gal. Oh my gosh, my brain just took a dive. Okay, I'm just gonna call you your gal. Oh my gosh, I just dive. Okay, Hollywood Tacticool says in Brazil, dengue is a serious problem, so they have volunteers go house to house to prevent stagnant water. See, stagnant water is bad, but that's not what rainwater collection is. It's not stagnant water. Like our rain barrel collection, it's not just open. Like you have to have some sort of cover or something to prevent the breed of the mosquitoes, which we have and always have had. I even had a trash can rain barrel collection, and it had the spout on the bottom, which was always closed, and then it had a netting on top, and then it had the lid, and then there was a little opening in the lid. I've done videos on that several times, and we never had a problem with mosquitoes because of that. Never bred, and it kept the debris out. You can't have a rainwater collection, I think, you can't have a rainwater collection system without a way for you to keep debris and bugs and to keep mosquitoes away from breeding. I mean, it's irresponsible. So yeah, I mean, stagnant water that's just sitting there, fine, like in a bird bath or in a bucket that's just hanging out or whatever, that's fine. That now for people to come, for volunteers to be coming into your house to make sure there's no stagnant water, that's a little weird, I think. But I understand it is a very serious problem, so I do understand that, just want to make sure that stagnant water's out. And people don't care. People just don't care about that stagnant water. And they don't see that it's a big deal. It is a big deal. We had a really bad mosquito problem in Texas. Really bad. And I would always see my neighbors with their buckets, that were out, and their containers or whatever else that were out, just filled with water. And I had to go over and be like, please, please, please. Please, could you get rid of this stagnant water? It's bad. The mosquitoes are really, really bad. And so, yeah, just talking to your neighbors helps too. Jamie, that has to suck when the stores are that far away and you forget something. Nope. It doesn't. We don't forget anything. We write lists. We walk around our house. We make sure we get what we get, and then we write a list. And if we do forget something, wasn't that important, I guess, right? I mean, we're not going to go back to the store. you know, just to go get something that we forgot. Like, we forgot ice cream. Oh, well. I mean, like, this whole week, husband and I were like, it was last week. We went shopping on Monday. It was last week. Husband and I were like, I wish we had ice cream. And it was another week until we got it. Oh, well. You know, you learn to live without, especially if you forget something. It's really not that big a deal. Let's see, Josh, yep, about every time it is called some, sorry, I gotta bring this up. It's called Alzheimer's. Stop. We make a lot of lists. We make a lot of lists. We don't survive without lists. I have a daily list that I live by, and then we have grocery lists. We have lists of things that we need at Home Depot. We have lists upon lists upon lists upon lists. Some places you're paid for power. Right. So, Christopher, you're right. But you're still tied to the grid. So, you may not have an electrical bill. And yes, for any excess, whatever they deem as excess, you might be paid, but you're still tied to the grid. Irish USMC, first flush diverter and window screens are a must for drinking water. Let's see. Jamie, I love the idea of having solar to run a freezer like you're doing. We want to put up a pole barn at some point, so I might borrow that idea for an extra freezer out there. There's a bug on me. Bugs are life out here. Ugh, what kind of bug was that? Okay. Yeah, I love our freezer on solar. It is amazing. It hasn't failed. It's kept everything really frozen. Of course, we keep our freezer super packed, which is what you want to do with any freezer, regardless whether it's run on solar or not. You want to keep your freezer super packed so that even if a power does go out, it'll stay cold for longer, you know, a couple days, few days, however packed you have it, right? And then, of course, storing ice, storing bottles of water that turn into ice, right? All these things to keep your freezer colder for longer in case of power outages, and it just keeps it fuller and it runs more efficiently. When it's fuller, it actually runs more efficient. Do you have lists for your lists? Yes. I have lists for my lists. This is my list, and these are all my lists. I should actually. Now, what list did I put that on? That's my problem. I have so many lists. And sometimes I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I have a blog idea list, and I have a video idea list. And sometimes I'll sometimes I will accidentally put something on the blog list when I meant to put it on the video list, and I'll be like, where's that idea that I had? I thought I wrote it down, and then I'll go to the list and lists aren't supposed to totally replace your brain. Okay, so Irish USMC says, in my rain catchment, I use 3 255-gallon food-grade totes for rain catchment. Yep, we have 2 set up right now. In fact, just today, husband finished our second gutter and tote setup. So now we have 2 275-gallon totes that are collecting water. One of them is over half full, just from like a week of rain. And the other one we just put up today, so I'm hoping, come on, monsoon, finish up here, finish strong, all right? I want to put more rain barrels on our chicken coop roof. Like, I want rain barrels everywhere. Let's see, Bruno. I have my knife in my shorts pocket. I was like, what is that? Okay, what type of batteries do you recommend for solar panels? Lithium? Husband will have to answer this one. While he comes over here, and this is the knife that I was carrying today. It's a Gerber. I'm forgetting the name of this. This was given to me by Birdshot. They sent this to me. It's a really great knife. It is super sharp. Well, you know, we keep it sharp and maintained, but I mean, when it is sharp, it's, you know, when we keep it sharp, it is super sharp. And this is what I'm carrying tonight. right now. It's the Freak, very expensive knife. No, this is not the Freak. I know for a fact it's not the Freak. It was called, it's something called like Outdoor something or Bush knife. I can't remember. I just can't remember. This is, yeah, it is a Benchmade, but it's not the Freak. I can't remember the name. I'm gonna have to ask Birdshot. Okay, so husband, they were asking what type of batteries you recommend for the solar panels.
It depends on how much you want to spend. If you are on a budget, like we are, you can go to Costco and you can get some cheap lead acid golf cart batteries. So basically, we're running a bunch of 6-volt lead acid golf cart batteries. They're about $100 a piece, and however big you need your setup, you can run, you know, X amount of batteries. If you want to invest some actual like money into it, the best batteries that you can get are going to be lithium batteries, but those cost a lot. The last I checked, there's a company out there called Battleborn that is making 100 amp hour 12-volt lithium batteries that are, I want to say, $1,000 a piece. So to get the current capacity that we have with our Costco batteries, we spent about $400 plus tax for our batteries for the 4 of them that we have right now. We're going to upgrade soon, but for the 4 we have right now, to get the same amount in those lithium batteries would be, I believe, $4,000 plus tax. So you can see it's like 10-fold more expensive for the lithiums, but they're a lot lighter and they're better batteries overall. They just cost a lot of money. So if you're on a budget, go with just lead acid batteries. Costco has great lead acid battery golf cart batteries. If you have money and you want to invest into the, you know, premium batteries, then lithium is the way to go.
Yeah, so there you have it. Batteries can either be pretty cheap, but they don't give as much output, like the lead acid, like we have. I would really like, you know, the lithium, which you get more of your power availability, but it is definitely more expensive. What's up? Oh, jeez. Okay. So, are there any other questions or anything that you guys had about? Oh. Okay. No more. Oh, you're just trying to see? She's like, can't see, guys. Where's my close-up? She's taking her own videos now. So she has a little phone that we let her play with. And she starts recording herself, and she'll be going through Home Depot or something. And she's like, hey, guys. We're here with Mama and Dada. And we're shopping. It's the cutest thing. I don't know when she should have her own YouTube channel. I ordered some of those pouches from our ADC. Yes, it's okay. The stasher. Oh my gosh, she's crazy right now. The stasher. Okay. Here, Josh. Can you take her, please? Here. I'll be done in a second, okay? So the stasher pouch, I just did a video of it yesterday. I just did a video of the stasher pouch yesterday, so head to my my main YouTube channel or whatever, and look for that. The stasher, it's really great. I've been using it for a couple months, and I really highly recommend it. I want to get their other stuff that's like the reusable Ziploc bags and stuff like that, because they're like, I really want the reusable Ziploc bags. I like the disposable for some things, but I really want some reusable, you know, Ziploc bags, whatever. Hi, Andrea. How dare you show up late? Okay, we're actually, I think I'm just about wrapping up here, but if you guys have any other questions or anything, oh, canning. Oh, I get it. TGS says, I'm kind of new, and I'm dying to ask if you can. I was like, can you do the can? What are you asking me? Yes, I have done several videos on canning. I do can, and even here in the RV, it's a little challenging, but I do. Now that I have the solar dehydrator, though, I think I'm going to be dehydrating a lot more, just because dehydrating is it's a little easier. But I really like canning for certain things. It just kind of depends. And yeah, but I love to can. I love it. Mr. Red Taco. That's a cool name. Welcome. Nice smile. Can you take her, please? Yeah. My kid Rogue's becoming very very into the camera and everything. Like I said, she's been taking her own little videos and things, so watch out for her upcoming YouTube channel. What is she going to talk about? I don't know. Kid preparedness. You need an outdoor kitchen. Yes, we do. 100,000% we do. We have a barbecue, but I really want an outdoor kitchen, like a legit outdoor kitchen. That'd be so great. Renaissance Marine TV has been posting pictures of his outdoor kitchen. I'm pretty jealous. Let me just say that. And our friend has a plan to do an outdoor kitchen of his and all that. And yeah, so I really do want an outdoor kitchen. That's on the to-do list, along with everything else. Any hunting on the homestead by Bruno? Yes. So we can hunt and we can do anything. Have we hunted? No. But we have seen deer, pigs, and just millions of rabbits on the homestead and around the homestead. You know, we have 40 acres, so we have a lot of land to be able to hunt on. And then we could possibly ask permission to hunt on other people's. But I mean, I don't really see any point. So yeah, we have plans to get some hunting in. That's just, yeah. I really want to hunt jackrabbits really bad. I want to do a catch and cook video, so hopefully that'll come up pretty soon. The deer here are a lot larger than the deer we had in Texas, so I'm very excited to try to get a deer. Of course, we have to, abide by local hunting laws and all that kind of thing still. Even on your own private property, you still have to abide by those laws. But yes, lots of hunting available. So, another question. Let's see. Pink Floyd says, do you have a well? No, we do not have a well. A well is very expensive here. So when we build our house, we might try to roll it into, I mean, we really don't want, we're going to be building an Adobe house, so we really don't want any sort of like huge construction loans or anything. And Adobe houses are not expensive to build. So we, a well, to get a well in, it's all cash. So we have to have the cash available, and we don't have that much to put towards that right now. We really want a well, but we have access to a well that's a mile away. So it's okay. It's not really that big of a problem and issue to us, so that's pretty good. Marie asks, are you planning to homeschool your kids? At this point, yes. I've been really back and forth on the homeschooling thing because my daughter, Kid Rogue, she's very sociable. But with everything going on with COVID and with just kind of how I'm looking at the school system in general these days, I'm not too thrilled with wanting to send her back to school. And I say back because she was in like a little part-time preschool for a little while, and she just loved it. And so it's just a tough decision, you know. But I'm not worried about homeschooling. I think she'll be fine. We'll be fine, and homeschooling will be great. I think that homeschooling is a really great option. But I definitely think that's what we're leaning more towards. You know, she's 4 years old. We've already been like homeschooling her. You know, like we've been teaching her forever. You know. Through books, and we have activity books and learning books for her, and I just bought a book for her the other day that it teaches her to read. You know, I mean, we've been doing all that stuff already, so just continue onwards, right? Hollywood Tactical says Adobe and rammed earth straw bale walls. It'll be mud walls, so Adobe mud walls, and then tied together wire mud walls. Really, really good insulation here. So what we actually want to do is do like a practice Adobe. Or we're going to do like a little shed that we want to move kind of the solar and stuff into, because it will be really insulated and it'll be really good for that solar. So we want to, for the batteries and stuff is what I mean. So we want to build like a tiny little, not tiny, but a small little kind of solar shed kind of thing. And that will be like our practice, just to kind of see how it goes. But I'm really, really excited for an Adobe. I think it is it's so cool. I've been looking at so many designs and, just reading up on the whole, just the science behind them and everything. And I'm really, really excited to build an Adobe. I think it's going to be really great. Tom says, how much would a well cost for you? We were quoted $20,000. That was the minimum. We were actually quoted higher prices by several other companies. So, Mr. Red Taco says, what's an Adobe home? It's like a tiny home. Nope. I mean, you could, I guess. Adobe home is basically it's a mud house. If you look up Adobe house. They did it a lot here in the South. They still do. A lot of people still do this because it's really, really good at insulation. It's basically just sacks of mud, and then you just build it up. You get it wet, you build it up, and then, like on the inside of the walls, you could do, the same stuff that you would do on the inside of any other house, or you could just leave it, and then you don't technically need a foundation for an Adobe house either. It would be the same thing that you do for the walls that you do for the foundation. And then, you'll want some sort of separation, like if you're going to put like a wood flooring or anything like that, you want some sort of separation so the wood doesn't, go bad on you, right? Even if it's treated, if it's just, getting flooded all the time, it's not going to be good. So, Adobe sounds great. Best we can do in our area is insulated concrete form. Interesting. That's cool. Concrete is really good insulation. Stone, concrete, any of those types of things, good insulation. Mud, the clay, rather. A lot of clay here. So, I mean, we got a lot of clay, so it's really not going to cost us a lot of money to even do this stuff on our own. It's basically bags and wire. Time, I'm sorry, the shaking. Every time somebody moves in the RV, the bed moves. Everything moves in the RV when one person moves. Okay. Tom, Morgan, as a one-time teacher, I actually am highly in favor of homeschooling. Downside is that kids do not develop the necessary skills in dealing with problem classmates. I mean, I think that there's a lot of problem solving that kids do, and I actually do think that homeschooling kids can grow up pretty resilient and able to deal with problems and critical thinking and all of that. You don't have to go to a public school and be around classmates in order to have problem solving skills with other people. I don't think that you need to. There's so many opportunities in life for your kid to learn how to interact with other people. It's not like you're just locking them away in your home. That's not how homeschooling works, okay? Pre-COVID, activities could be, going to the park, going to museums, going to all these different educational events that you're teaching them in a variety of different ways. So homeschooling is not just, literally locking them up in your house to teach them. It's you're still creating those social skills. You're still creating problem solving, critical thinking, and all of that. It's just in a different way. So, yeah, that's how I see it. And that's how I was told and convinced by people who were actually homeschooling. Because for a long time, I thought a lot of the same things, that kids would be really socially awkward and all of this. And it's just really not true. There's just so many ways to socialize kids without putting them in a public school system. So, before the internet, we went outside and didn't come home till dinner. Yeah. Even pre-internet days, in my generation, we were outside literally all the time, playing with the neighbor kids, riding our bikes down to the mini mart. Literally just going everywhere and doing whatever. It was crazy. Different times for sure. Steve-O, does anybody here think it's actually going to get to the point where we need to live off of our preps for a while? I actually already know people who are living off of their preps right now because of financial, not difficulties. I wouldn't say difficulties, but just off of financial, like they can't afford to buy new preps, so they're living off the preps that they have right now, that exist right now. And I actually know a lot of people that are doing that right now. So I think it's really dependent on each person. And to be quite honest with you, the economy's not looking good. So if we're not prepping to plan to live off those preps, you might want to get into that mindset a little bit. And don't hoard, don't panic buy, just keep prepping and have the expectation that, we have these preps so that we may have to rely on them. We may have to rely on them full time. A lot of people are going through really difficult times right now, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, and I'm also not trying to be a fearmonger. I want people to be prepared for potential really hard times. That's it. Hollywood Tactical, are you part of some sort of network community of mutual aid? I would say yes. We are really deep into our community. We know tons of people in our community, and I would say we have actually created a really good string of community aid and assistance in which we could call upon somebody to help us, or they can call upon us. I've talked about community and how big of a deal it is, and I just think that it's a really good idea to be able to have that good network, even if it's just a few people that you can kind of rely on with those different skills, different backgrounds, different education, all that kind of stuff. It really does make a difference. Makes a huge difference in longevity of survival and preparedness. Even just everyday preparedness. TGIF, we were notified this evening that no schools in our county will have kids going back to school, all online again, kind of like homeschooling. Yeah, so that's also a thing too. Most schools aren't even opening up. In fact, I do know that there's a nearby school that is opening up here, but even then, with a lot of the policies being put into place, I'm really not comfortable with sending my kid to a school like that. Like living in a little bubble, wearing masks all day long. I'm not down with that. Just not down with it. So I can homeschool, and that's a choice, right? Or online schooling or whatever. Okay, so Andrew, you're being a realist. I'm really trying to bend that line of being a realist and fearmonger. I'm not trying to bring fear onto people. I just really want people to understand that, that it's hard times right now, and it's getting harder. I think, for a lot of people. And especially with this being an election year, things are really, really crazy and tough right now. Bruno says it's important to bond with like-minded people for support. Absolutely. And they don't have to be other preppers. They just don't. It's a miracle, right? These like-minded people don't have to be preppers. They just have to understand that, in times of need, maybe we'll lean on each other. And that's it. If we need to, It's not even like it's a guarantee that I'm going to have to lean on you in these times of crisis or whatever. It's just, hey, if I happen to need something, you happen to need something, it's a mutually understood agreement to lean on each other should we need to, kind of thing. Stay off grid, don't do online school. They're going to require vax for homeschoolers too? Why would they require vaccinations for homeschoolers? That's weird. I mean, I'm not saying you're a liar. That's crazy. But yeah, I'm not too big on the whole online schooling either, just because that's, I think I want more control over my child's education. And I think that's kind of one of the main purposes of homeschooling is to have that little more control, and to actually know what they are and are not learning, and, making sure that they're learning what they need to learn, etc. So, but yeah, I was leaning towards the online school for a little while, but then I was like, I think I'm just gonna stick with the whole homeschooling thing. I'm gonna build an igloo in the winter, Canadian freedom. I would love to build an igloo one day. Sorry, I got distracted by the other comments. I would love to build an igloo one day. They say it snows here, but I really seriously doubt it'll be enough to build an igloo, but that'd be cool. Okay. Frugal. They want the control. I'm like I said, I'm totally not saying you're a liar. I just haven't heard of it. I'm sure it's true. I wouldn't even doubt it's true. They always want control. They always want that peace, right? Whoops. My laptop just went away. Okay. So, again, the social aspect of school is being lost. It's really not, though. So, I mean, people socialize all the time, ever, right? There's lots of activities that people can socialize in. I don't know now with all the COVID, stuff going on. It's harder to go to a zoo or to a museum or to do, activities. It's harder to do these things, now with COVID. Most of these things are shut down. In fact, we wanted to go to the Phoenix Zoo. And we were like, oh my gosh, that'd be so cool. And so we looked into the restrictions, and literally you couldn't do anything but literally just like walk in this like along this path. No exhibits were open. You could look at the animals from afar. You had to wear masks while you're outside the entire time and just like walk in this little path. And we were like, yikes, that doesn't sound fun or educational, or, I mean, it just didn't sound good at all. So, in this COVID world that we live in right now, so many places are shut down and things, but my child does not suffer from being antisocial. In fact, she's very sociable. She goes up to every single kid and says, hey, you want to be my friend? So I think social skills is more towards, it's one, based on character, and two, based on how often they interact with the public. And our kids interact quite a bit. So, yeah. Bye, Ellen. School is not where we learn to coexist with each other. I'm sorry. I really have to disagree with that. I did not learn to coexist with each other. I didn't learn to coexist with people based on school. I learned to coexist with people by playing and by going to activities and events and, museums and zoos and all these other activities. That's where I learned to coexist with people. School, you sit in a desk facing a teacher. You know, when you have your breaks, and you have your lunch and you have all this stuff. Okay, so I get that little bit of time to kind of, you know, check out a couple friends or whatever. It's not coexisting, it's just existing. I'm really sorry I have to disagree with that. So, but you know, I mean, that's before school. Gosh, how did people learn to coexist with people before public schools? You could build a dirt hill opposite of an igloo. Watch out for snakes. So here it would actually be a dirt hole. It's better to build a hole because it's the deeper down you go, it's more insulated, and it's a lot cooler. You know, you dig holes to be cooler. So yeah, here it would be digging a hole, not making a hill. Your gardening and wildcrafting and herbal preps can be part of the educational program. Exactly. And she's already into all these things, the gardening and the archery, and you know, she helps me with everything. Tending to the animals. This is all education. My daughter did online school even before all this happened. If I could do it over, I would have done traditional homeschooling instead. Good to know, Jamie. Good to know. That is actually very insightful. So I think I'm definitely going to be doing just strictly homeschooling and not the online school. I know somebody who's doing online school now, and they're even complaining about it. You know, they're like, they want her online for 8 hours a day. I don't think it was 8 hours, but I think it was like 6 hours a day or something, and doing this and doing that. And they were like, nah, we're not doing that. I mean, they do have really, you know, it's basically like being in school, except it's just being online, and it's different. So yeah, totally agree. Everyday life is an education. Yep. Everyday life. I think I learned more outside of school than I did in school. Not even gonna lie on that. I remember so few things from school. Yeah, I remember a lot of stuff. Obviously, I learned things. I learned how to write, and I learned, you know, geography, and I learned all these little things. But I also don't think that the public school is our babysitter. I don't think that the public school is responsible for teaching us or our kids everything. And I think that's where a lot of us go wrong. You know, we expect the public school system to literally teach us everything that we ever need to know. And that's just wrong. Wrong. You know, you as parents, grandparents, friends, whoever, you know, society in general as a whole should be part of the teaching process. The public school system is not, it's just not, period. I did several online college courses, tough to pick up, gals. Yeah. Those online profiles don't do it for you, do they? Bye, Irish. Always good to see you. Pleasure. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and call it. I just want to thank you all so much for being here. This is one of my longer chats, and I really enjoy these chats with you guys. It's super great. I really love the whole back and forth. And, you know, I sometimes... trade school. Oh, one last thing. Bruno just brought up a good point. Trade schools need to be encouraged. 1000%. I think trade schools are awesome. Really do. Traditional colleges and like public schools and things, public colleges and things. I think you learn way more in trade schools. That's 100%. That's 100. Is that what the kids are saying? That's 100. Okay. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. Love the conversations with you guys. Trying to have more live streams. Trying to make this happen for you guys. The other live streams are going to be at 6, not at 7. I'm trying to redo that. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Conquer tomorrow by preparing today. I will talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.